Welcome back, everybody. This is Josh with Deep Threat Sports Network. You might recognize me from our other NASCAR podcast, Splash and Go. But I got news for you. We've been talking about adding other podcasts to the channel, and here we are. We got an NFL podcast coming at you right now. We've selected Logan and Austin to be our podcast hosts. And I'm going to switch it on over to Logan here, and he's going to tell you a little bit about himself as we get into this podcast.
Hey guys, excited to be able to be a part of this. Got to talk to Colin a lot, and he got me into this. And I'm a big NFL fan. I watch a lot of football games, usually the Rams game. Probably not a big majority choice on a team for a lot of people being in the St. Louis area, but that's a team I've grew up with, watched them since I was young, and went to a lot of games. Looking to definitely grow that, and I'm definitely gonna give a lot of hot takes on NFL teams because a lot of teams I'm not real big on that probably a lot of people are. So it might give us all a little different aspect of the games, and I'm pretty excited to get into it.
What's up, guys? Austin here. Grew up in the St. Genevieve area with this guy right here, Logan. Far back as I can remember, we always would sit around the lunch table, debate any sports, whether it be NFL, MLB, college. So excited to get on here, debate some NFL. Know a lot about it. I think I know a lot more than Logan down here. So excited to get into it.
Awesome, fellas. We're really excited to have you guys here. And I already like the banter back and forth. That's really what we're about here at Deep Threat Sports. So we're going to go ahead and hop right into this. And I want you guys to give me some of the teams to beat this season in the NFL going into week 3.
I'll start us off here. I'm looking at three different teams that I think going into week 3 are the teams to beat right now. Right now, I'm definitely going to take the Houston Texans. They got a lot of firepower. CJ Stroud turned out to be a lot better than what I think a lot of teams expect him to be, including the Panthers. Right now, where the Panthers are, they would love to have CJ Stroud, I believe. And watching CJ Stroud and what he has with Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and now Stephon Diggs, this seems offensively loaded. And now you add Joe Mixon to this team. Offensively, they're very stout, and if they can keep making plays, I think they are going to be a dangerous team coming December and January. So my second team is going to be the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, coming into week 3, I just watched them play, not a very good football game. I think they actually should have lost the game and be 1-1. But they're 2-0. They lucked out. But who is always there when the time comes? Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is, I would say, the best quarterback right now. Could he be the GOAT? I don't know. But I don't want to say that because I'm not a Chiefs fan. But he's very good. And you add Rashee Rice, Travis Kelce, and I think you're going to have to see him throw the ball a little more because they haven't been doing as much as they used to because they had Isaiah Pacheco. Now he's going to be out probably 8 weeks. You're going to watch Patrick Mahomes throw the ball a lot more, and you're going to see a lot more offensive numbers coming up from Kansas City, I think. Going into my third team to pick, kind of a wild card team to pick, and I don't think a lot of people would agree with me, but I'm going to say the Pittsburgh Steelers. What does Pittsburgh always have? They have a defense, and their defense is phenomenal, led by TJ Watt, and they have a lot of defensive firepower. I think if Justin Fields can keep playing quarterback as he is with the amount of talent around him offensively, I think if he's a game manager, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers can make a run, and being 2-0 where they're at, they haven't scored many touchdowns yet. And when they do start scoring, this defense is only going to be better. So that's my 3 teams to pick going into week 3 I think those are the best teams.
Right. Going into my teams to beat going into this week and for the rest of the season so far, got to start off with the Chiefs, right? I mean, I know it's the basic safe pick, but how are you going to tell me to bet against Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and then Arrowhead, right? I mean, it almost seems unbeatable. You got a defense that has a year under their belt. They're only going to improve. You got Rashee Rice, who was a rookie last year, going to his sophomore year. who is looking to take that next step, getting another year with Patrick Mahomes, as well as Old Reliable and Travis Kelce. It's gonna be hard to beat them. They're gonna get rolling. I know they looked a little sluggish last week. I think that is gonna happen sometimes with this team. I think Kelce is, like I said, their go-to, their safety blanket, and he is getting a little bit older. So sometimes they are going to struggle a little bit. That's just going to give Mahomes a little bit more of a headaches than he's used to. So he's going to have to kind of think more outside the box on his plays. But you can never bet against the Chiefs. Number 2 I got is the Buffalo Bills. And I think a lot of people think that this year was going to be their big regression year. And for obvious reasons, they lose Stephon Diggs. They're losing some people on defense in the secondary. It almost seems like coming into the season that they're going backwards and not forwards. But in my opinion, I think that is exactly what Josh Allen loves. He loves to wear the Superman cape, right? He loves to do it all. And I think that with all these people leaving and everybody saying, look, they can't get it done with all these weapons, with all these players, there's no way that they're going to get it done without him. I think Josh Allen's going to say, watch me. And he's going to put the whole team on his back. He's going to go out there, do whatever the heck he wants to do. And he's going to find a way to win football games for this team.
I agree with you there, Austin. What has he done the first 2 weeks already? He's put the team on his back, and because he has no other guys that's really put up big numbers. It's been Josh Allen, James Cook's done a little bit, but we haven't even got to see Keon Coleman do much yet. And when I think they start getting their connection, I think their connection to be better than their Stephon Diggs, Josh Allen. Great pick.
I like it, fellas. I like it so far. I think those are some solid picks going into week 3 and the rest of the season. I have to agree with you. I think Kansas City's going to be dominant. There's really no stopping it. Kind of tired of hearing about it myself, but I digress. So we've talked about who you guys think are going to be big-time trouble this season in the NFL, the teams you think are going to be the best. Who do you think as of right now, whether it's teams or players, that are underperforming as a whole?
I want to say it. I would definitely say my Los Angeles Rams, but I think there's a big factor that everybody's going to know. Puka Nacua goes down the first game, and then week 2, Cooper Kupp goes down. I don't know if a lot of people watch a lot of Rams game, but they probably did because that was a Sunday night game against Detroit week 1. Cooper Kupp, I believe, had around 20 targets when Puka Nacua went down. And I was the first person to say when we had work and we started talking about it right away. I said, Cooper Kupp, he's 31 years old. I don't know how long he can take it because they tried doing this year. He won Triple Crown and he made it through. But then after that year, it went downhill. And that was the whole thing with Puka Nacua last year was like, whoa, we actually got a second wide receiver to throw the football to. Now, you don't really have anybody to throw the football to for Matthew Stafford. And I don't see them winning a whole lot of games right now. Our defense is okay, but you also have offensive line issues. We have 3 offensive linemen that are hurt right now. So now you have 3 backup offensive linemen, and you also have no wide receivers that we really know of other than DeMarcus Robinson. But other than him, I think the Rams are going to lose a lot of games, especially going against the 49ers this week. We're going to be in a bad situation. I will also go my second team that's underperforming is the Cleveland Browns. This is a poverty franchise. Last year, you had a glimpse of hope when Watson went down. They got Joe Flacco out of the nursing home, and you're like, "Come on, Joe, go take us to the promised land." And he did. He actually won me a couple fantasy leagues. In our work league, he played very well. So now that Deshaun Watson comes back, and you add Jerry Jeudy in the wide receiver core, and you're still losing, and your offense looks terrible, I don't know what else to say other than Cleveland, you're in trouble. And Kevin Stefanski might be losing a job by the end of the year. And I don't know if it's all on him, but what happens to every NFL team? You get your head coach fired if you're not winning. And I think if they keep losing, will definitely be a guy to be fired.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the Browns there. I actually think Kevin Stefanski's a good coach. I just think the whole situation with Deshaun Watson is just a huge blow up. I personally actually don't think Deshaun Watson will be with the team going into next season. I don't think he'll be on the Browns. I think he'll get benched in the second half of the year and won't see the field again because how bad that he's doing. And I think the Browns are honestly just going to eat the rest of his contract and try to figure a way to salvage something out of this going into next year.
And also with the Browns, how does Browns fans right now like watching Baker Mayfield? I mean,
Right.
Baker Mayfield is looking like the guy that we always expected, and he showed glimpses in Cleveland. I just think the Cleveland fans were over him, and I don't even know if the fans were over him. I think the front office was. And now looking at it, it's like we might take in a year or two early on Baker Mayfield.
Well, I agree with both of you guys with Baker Mayfield there. I've got him on my fantasy team. He's really starting to shine this season, looking really good. I also have Cooper Kupp on both of my fantasy leagues, and I'm hemorrhaging. I'm trying to make moves, pick people up. I'm really struggling right now. We get into this right now, and let's start breaking down the games that are coming up this week. Logan, why don't you kick us off with Thursday night's game and give us some information about that game with the Pats and the Jets?
Yeah, so we got the Pats going to be visiting the Jets, and both teams coming in 1-1. But there's going to be one big factor coming into this game. What team has Aaron Rodgers? That's the Jets, and I think you're going to see the Aaron Rodgers and Garrett Wilson combination really come together. I don't think we saw it so far yet this year, but you're definitely going to see it. Breece Hall, you got to give the guy the ball. But I think you're going to also see Aaron Rodgers do a lot more up at the line. For him, I know they say Nathaniel Hackett is the OC. He's not the OC. Aaron Rodgers is. He's going to do what he wants. Robert Saleh is going to let him do what he wants. He's 40 years old. He's won 2 Super Bowls. Let the guy do what he wants, because last year you had Zach Wilson and your whole cluster. Let the guy do what he wants. You're going to win football games. And I'm going to take the Jets over the Patriots right away, because the Patriots offense is not an offense that you want to be a part of, because all you have is Ramondre Stevenson, and Jacoby Brissett is not going to win you a lot of football games. He's a great backup, but he's not going to be a starter.
Yeah, I gotta take the Jets also here. I mean, a lot of so much stuff he said. You got Aaron Rodgers going up against Jacoby Brissett. Tell me who you want winning the game there. That's one way to look at it. I think this is actually going to be a pretty ugly game. I was actually looking at the line on this. I think the over-under was set at 37.5. I mean, a 20 to 17 game is what they think it's going to be. And I can see it being real ugly. But at the end of the day, I'm going to take Aaron Rodgers over Jacoby Brissett.
All right. Well, since you guys both picked the Jets, I'm going to disagree with both of you, and I'm going to take the Pats.
All right, going into Bears at Colts. This game, I actually think will be a lot closer than a lot of people think. Bears, as we know, just terrible franchise. Can't get a good QB to work for them. And right now it's looking like Caleb Williams is starting off really slow with them. But I actually think that the Colts are going to struggle a little bit in this game too. I mean, the Bears have shown that they've had a pretty good defense so far to start this year. I mean, they've had 2, I want to say, special teams or defensive touchdowns already this year. I mean, that's a lot. I think Anthony Richardson of the Colts is a guy that is going to be explosive. He's going to go out and make big plays. He's going to make plays that will win you games, but he's also going to be there to give the ball right back, make plays that will lose you games. So I think this could be a real ugly game, depending on how Anthony Richardson plays. I think it'll be a little bit closer than most people think. I do think the Colts will squeak it out here in an ugly one, though.
So after listening to Austin, I can agree with him a lot, but I'm going to side with Chicago coming in and win this game. We haven't got to see Caleb Williams do what he normally does. And in college, he would run around the field a lot, make a lot of open plays. It's not going to happen in the NFL. You got D linemen running, crazy 40s at the combine stuff. Defensive ends, They make way too many plays for him to be standing in the pocket and running around taking hits that he shouldn't be. CJ Stroud talked to him last week after the game. He literally told him, hey, man, can't be taking these hits if you want to stay in the NFL. And I completely agree. Caleb Williams has to learn to throw the ball away and know when to try making plays and when not to. Trying to make plays week 2 probably isn't a good idea. Being 1-1, though, I still think they're going to come in and they're going to show the Colts that they're the better team offensively because they have not gotten the offensive scheme going yet, but I think it's going to start. With the Colts, I'm not a big Anthony Richardson guy. I actually saw a crazy stat about this before he came to the NFL. He started only 17 games coming from his senior year. So he did not play a lot of football, and it's crazy to think that he's coming in and being an NFL starter, which he's a freak athlete. But I don't believe in his accuracy, but he can make a lot of plays, but I'm still not seeing it as a franchise quarterback.
All right. Well, I couldn't disagree with you more, Logan. I'm not a Blackhawks fan. I'm not a Cubs fan. I'm definitely not a Bears fan. So I'll never root for them. I'll never pick them. That's just how I live my life.
All right. So coming into the Chargers and Steelers game, both teams are 2-0, which is kind of crazy. Watching both offenses, they kind of work the same. They're looking to run the football, control the clock, and let their defense do a lot of work. Both teams have a lot of firepower defensively, but I think when it comes down to it, Pittsburgh's a better football team in this. You got Najee Harris, you got Jalen Warren, you got George Pickens, you got them all. And I think with Justin Fields, I think you have a lot more at quarterback than you have years before that he can actually use his legs. And I think he's going to kind of take over the game. I know at the beginning of the year they talked about Russell Wilson probably starting. Now Russell Wilson's kind of hurt, but they're 2-0 with Justin Fields. I think you're going to have a lot better offense if you keep Justin Fields as your starting quarterback. And I think you're going to see Pittsburgh take over this handedly because I don't think the Chargers are built to be in a shootout like years before. You don't have the weapons that you used to. You don't have the Keenan Allen for the Chargers. You don't have Mike Williams, but you do have Gus Edwards and you do have J.K. Dobbins. So I could also see this game going the Chargers' way. If Chargers can get the lead early, I think it could be a tough game, but I'm still going to roll with the Pittsburgh Steelers this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to lean the other way from you, Logan. I think I'm gonna pick the Chargers on this one. I do think this game's coin flip, 50-50. I can see it going either way. But the Steelers they're 2-0 and they've scored one offensive touchdown all season. And I know they have one of the best defenses in the league. I don't see it being very high scoring, but one weakness that they might have in their defense is against the run. And that's what the Chargers love to do, especially with Harbaugh. And they have now Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. They've shown that they can pound the rock and do it effectively. I dislike the Steelers offense enough to where I'm going to put my faith and trust in Jim Harbaugh, the running game, and Justin Herbert and pick the Chargers.
All right, fellas. I think I'm going to go with the Steelers. I'm going to roll with them. I'm going to go with Logan on this one. I like the back and forth, how you guys aren't agreeing on everything. That's what I really like to see, and I think that's what we like to see here on Deep Threat Sports Network. All right, Austin, give us the Eagles at the Saints. What do you got?
On this one, all right. I like to think of myself as a Saints fan. I grew up playing the tight end position, and that's when Jimmy Graham was going absolutely nuclear in the early 2000s. Watched him play football, fell in love with the Saints. So I would consider myself a Saints fan. But I'm going to be as unbiased as possible. I'm going to have to pick the Eagles here. I know maybe not a lot of people are, but I, for one, am a firm believer in Jalen Hurts. I think he's shown that he can take a team to a Super Bowl and kind of be an X factor on an offense like that. I believe in the weapons that the Eagles have with Devonta Smith, A.J. Brown, whether he plays or not, in the addition to Saquon Barkley. I also think Dallas Goedert's a very underrated tight end. The only thing that does scare me a little bit here is the Eagles' scary secondary and kind of defense as a whole, especially with as explosive as the Saints have looked this year. I just think that the Saints are a bit too big of a question mark and hole for me to pick them against a team that I think I know a little bit more about in the Eagles, especially with the addition of Kellen Moore at offensive coordinator.
Austin, I couldn't agree more. I kind of figured you were going to side with the Saints here just because you're a Saints fan. And after the last 2 weeks, especially after just putting a beat down on Dallas as bad as they did. But yeah, I think Philadelphia is going to come in here and just show you why they went to the Super Bowl. This team is a really good football team and probably shouldn't have lost last week to the Falcons. So you can take Saquon Barkley out of New York, but you can't take New York out of Saquon Barkley. And he showed you there on third down why he was in New York and why he was a Giant. But all jokes aside, Saquon Barkley takes his team to another level than what they've had before. I mean, DeAndre Swift, he's a good running back, but he's not Saquon Barkley. And if Saquon Barkley stays healthy the rest of this year, Philadelphia is going to be good. But like you said, they have so many weapons. They got A.J. Brown. They got Devontae Smith, Dallas Goedert. I'm not sure if A.J. Brown's even going to play this week. I think he's questionable. But either way, Devontae Smith, even if he wasn't, has to be the number one this week. I still think that Philly will take this one home.
Well, you know what that means, fellas. I was going to pick the Saints anyways. You guys made it easy on me. So I'm going to go with New Orleans this week. I think they're going to take them down. All right, Logan, 49ers at the Rams. What do you got?
Well, as much as this bugs me to say, I think the 49ers are going to walk all over the Rams. Looking at this game at the beginning of the year, I was like, you can't go against the Rams right now. But then watching them after week 1 and 2 without any wide receivers, the Rams are in trouble. And I still think that the 49ers are going to be one of the better teams this year. Now that Deebo Samuel is going to be out for a while and Christian McCaffrey's out. But look what they're doing without him. I mean, you got Brandon Ayuk. You got the younger running back. I think his last name's Mason. I don't know if I'm correct on that. I think it is Mason. And he's been filling the shoes well. And then you got Brock Purdy at quarterback. Brock Purdy is kind of a resemblance of Tom Brady. Not trying to make any false accusations, but I mean, you can't rattle the guy. I mean, the guy just comes out and plays football every week, and they got an awesome offensive line, and they also got a crazy defense. And I just don't think that the Rams can hold up to this, sadly to say, but I got to take the 49ers this week.
Yeah, the Brock Purdy Tom Brady comparison there was a little out of pocket. I'm gonna have to definitely take a clip of that. But
they're both handsome. I'll give them that. They're both handsome. All right.
But yeah, I'm gonna have to pick the 49ers here with you. I think just there's too many injuries on the Rams. I know there's some injuries on the 49ers, but I mean, you look at that roster, you can make a very good case it's the best roster in the whole NFL. You got almost an all-pro at almost every position over there. And I know some of them are banged up. And I know Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's younger, more inexperienced. I don't care. I'm trusting Kyle Shanahan and those weapons, and that just all around better team than a banged up Rams team.
My thing though is I never bet against Sean McVay. Sean McVay, in my opinion, not to be biased, is definitely probably a top 3 coach in the NFL. And it would not shock me if the Rams came out and was leading at halftime. But 100% the 49ers will win this game. But it would not surprise me if some reason the Rams come out and win this game because that's just how the Rams are.
Do you put Shanahan above or behind McVay and coaches? I just want to know.
Behind, 100%.
All right.
You're making me pick Stan Kroenke's Rams. I wish this guy would get hit by a bus, but I guess I'm going to have to run with the Rams this week. You know, thanks for this, fellas.
Going into the next game, Texans Vikings. Logan, I loved how at the beginning of this segment you said Texans were the team to kind of be scared of. 2-0, coming off some big wins. Stroud looks great. They have so many weapons coming into this game. And I think I'm going to take the Vikings in this one, actually. I think I was doing some pick'ems at work league today, where you kind of pick every team who you think's gonna win. I'm like, there's always got to be some kind of big underdog that wins. I think it's the Vikings. I think the Texans, even though they are 2-0, they have looked vulnerable this season. They squeaked by against the Colts, and they put up 19 points against the Bears. I know they have a bunch of weapons, but I think that they're vulnerable against the pass rush, and the Vikings, I believe, are leading the league in sacks right now. And I think they can put the Texans in a bunch of situations where if the Vikings were to bring pressure and make Stroud feel a little bit uncomfortable, that he might not be converting those third downs that we've seen against the Bears and the Colts in the first 2 weeks. I do think it is going to be tough against all those weapons for the Vikings to kind of contain them. But like I said, if they can bring pressure and put them in uncomfortable situations, I think that if Sam Darnold doesn't turn the ball over, that they can do just enough at home to squeak out a win and be 3-0.
I couldn't disagree more, to be honest with you, Austin.
Kind of figured
Looking at what the Vikings did the first 2 weeks, it's impressive. Happy for Sam Darnold, because I think he was also a Jets quarterback from years ago that got a raw end of the deal. Looking at, though, Justin Jefferson might not play. Jordan Addison might not play. And I don't know who you're going to throw the ball to. Like, you don't have anybody around that can make plays like you have Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But I'm going to go with the Houston Texans for 3 big reasons. You have CJ Stroud, Nico Collins, and Stephon Diggs. I'm not a big Stephon Diggs fan. I think he is kind of not the greatest club room guy when things are going bad. But when things are going good, he's a big clubhouse guy. But we've seen it year in and year out. What happens when the Bills used to have issues? He would be out there just chewing on Josh Allen. Not a fan of that. But I think him coming into the Texans has brought a little more leadership. And I don't know if they sat him down and was like, hey, dude, you're not the main guy here, but we still need you out on the field making plays. And that's what he did the first week. Kind of quiet week 2. I don't think Stephon Diggs is going to have a huge game because I think you're still going to rely on Nico Collins and Tank Dell. But then your third guy's Stephon Diggs. Like, how can you go against the guy? But way too much offensive firepower, and I don't even know who's all going to be playing for the Vikings. There's so many people questionable, ankle injuries, leg injuries. I cannot go with the Vikings. Houston Texans all the way.
I think I'm going to go with you, Logan. All the hype around CJ Stroud so far starting out the season, all the hype around Texas. I'm going to go with Texas, baby.
So now we're going to go into the Giants-Browns game. And let me say, this might be one of the worst games of the week. I mean, both teams are bad football teams. I'll start with the Giants. You guys gave a huge contract to Daniel Jones. And I don't know why. The guy never has proved anything. I don't know if it's because you drafted him in the first round. You just felt like paying him would help him, and it hasn't. But the Giants do have Malik Neighbors. I was just looking. He's a top 5 wide receiver in fantasy, which is unreal because the offense is terrible. But he's making plays. I just don't think it'd be enough, though. Because if you look at Cleveland, Cleveland has a great defense. And their defense with Myles Garrett has been good, but you're not seeing it record-wise because their offense is terrible. And it leans on one guy on why the offense is terrible. I talked about Kevin Stefanski. It's not Kevin Stefanski's fault. You're looking at Watson. Deshaun has struggled since he's been in Cleveland, and it makes it look even worse now that what happened last year with Joe Flacco coming out of like nowhere. I think he was retired. I'm not for sure on that, but I'm pretty sure he was retired or he's just a free agent, one of the two. I don't even think he was planning on playing again. He went in and won a lot of football games. And now you're thinking, oh, Deshaun Watson should come in and play out of his mind because you just got Amari Cooper playing crazy last year. And now you added Jerry Jeudy for like I think you trade it like a thing of Doritos chips to Denver Farm, and you're not using them. You're not doing anything with them, and it's kind of crazy, and it all falls on Deshaun Watson. But after saying all that, I'm still going to take Cleveland to win this game because they have a way better defense, and I'm going to hope that Deshaun Watson can figure it out because I think with a good Deshaun Watson in Cleveland, I think you're going to have a better. I think a good Deshaun Watson in Cleveland is a good thing for the NFL. I think when you have good NFL football out of Cleveland, it's fun to watch. So I will take Cleveland.
Yeah, when I look at these two teams, I kind of picture them as two burning buildings, just two dumpster fires. But I think I'm going to take the Browns here, because I think that the Giants burning building is going to crumble a lot faster than the Browns burning building that has a foundation of defense. Logan, if the Giants score more than 17 points against the Browns this week, I will buy you a drink next time we're out together because I just do not see Daniel Jones and that offense scoring very many points against this Browns defense. I told you I don't like Deshaun Watson. I really just like their defense and Stefanski. I'm just going to take the Browns, but I don't like either of these teams, to be honest.
All right. Well,
Okay, we're looking for the Giants.
When the Giants win, you're gonna have to buy me a drink, bud. Because
that's one thing
I like.
You gotta buy two.
I'll buy you a bucket if Giants win. I'll buy you a drink, Logan, if they score more than 17. Okay.
All right.
We'll book it.
Book it, baby.
All right. Let's get into Broncos Bucks. Looking into this game, gotta go with the Buccaneers here. How can you not be rooting for Baker Mayfield and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now? Baker Mayfield is a guy's guy. I mean, if you give me a pick of three people in the NFL that I would want to go and hang out with on the weekend, Baker Mayfield's easily in the top three. He might even be number one. I mean, he's a guy's guy. Really hard not to root for. I just think the Broncos don't really have it figured out yet with Bo Nix. I think they absolutely could figure it out later in the season. I just don't think right now is the time. I think the Bucs have too many offensive weapons with Godwin, Mike Evans, White. And I just don't think that, especially with the Buccaneers being home, that the Broncos are going to be able to keep up with the Buccaneers, who look absolutely fantastic to start the year.
Yeah, I gotta agree with you here, Austin. After week one, seeing him win, I was like, okay, cool. Baker Mayfield had a good game, but now week two, you're going into Detroit against a team that won a big game against the Rams. And I really wasn't honestly expecting it to be a really good game. And I really wasn't expecting Tampa Bay to come out and win it. And when Tampa won that, it kind of opened your eyes up. And just watching how the gameplay went was kind of crazy. I think Detroit kind of got out of their game a little bit, and I think Detroit does that. But needless to say, the Buccaneers looked good, and they've looked good the whole year. They looked good last year too. They really haven't changed a whole lot. They lost their offensive coordinator, but I think Baker Mayfield's playing better this year than what they did last year. So I don't know what to say about that yet. It is also week three, going into week three, but I will definitely have to ride with you on this, and we're going to take the Bucs.
I knew looking at this game, you guys both were going to take the Bucs, so
you know where that leaves Baker.
Me. I have to now. I have to be the odd man out. Keep it interesting, as we make these wagers, friendly wagers, stuff like that. So
I'm also not a fan of Sean Payton. I don't think what he does is very good. I know you're an old Saints fan, Austin. Don't know how you feel about him, but not a fan of Sean Payton. Not a fan of the guy. Not a fan. All right, now we're going to go into the Dolphins at the Seahawks. Last week, if we were talking about this game, it would be a totally different picture, I think. But going into week three, Tua has another concussion, and now we have Skylar Thompson probably that's going to be starting for the Dolphins. I don't know what to say. I'm watching a little bit of Skylar Thompson. I didn't watch the game personally. I watched some of the highlights. The offense just isn't fluid with him. Hopefully they get him a weekend of practice and he can get a little more confident. But Tua not being there, I mean, Tua hasn't played the best anyway. The part of the game I did watch when Tua was, I think he had 2 interceptions that looked bad. But the offense is definitely better when Tua is playing because you can get the ball to none other than Tyreek Hill or even Jalen Waddle. You have 2 studs, or even Devon Achane. He's a stud. Looking at Seattle, though, Gino Smith, all he has to do is be a game manager, I think, to win this football game this week. Let Zach Charbonnet play because Kenneth Walker's out. Let him run the football and then turn it into a little bit of play action. Get the ball to DK, Tyler Lockett, and Jackson Smith and Jigba. You can't go wrong. I think Seattle's actually a really good football team. And I think with their defense, I think as far as you want to go at Seattle, it's going to rely on Geno Smith. And I don't know how good Geno Smith is. I mean, he's an okay quarterback. I don't think he's going to take you super far. But I think with a beat-up Dolphins team, I think I got to take Seattle this week.
I'm riding with the Seahawks too, man. They got too many weapons, and Geno Smith has looked spectacular this year. I know his first year in Seattle, he looked really good. Last year, he was looking a little, is he going to go back to old Geno? Start this year, he's looking absolutely phenomenal again. They got 3 tremendous wide receivers, a really good running back, a solid defense over there. And then I think Dolphins, I think this one could get ugly for them. This might be a hot take, but I think the Seahawks are going to blow them out of the water. I think it's not even going to be close. I think the whole QB situation with the Dolphins, from what I've seen of Skylar Thompson, just going back the last couple of years, him backing up to it, not looked very good. I think that's exactly what they rely on with this team, to get a QB that's at least able to get the ball to their playmakers, and I just don't think they're going to have that. I could see this one getting ugly, and I could see the wheels falling off for Miami really quickly starting this week.
My thing is, though, Mike McDaniels is a good coach, and I think he might have Skylar Thompson ready to go. I hope Skylar Thompson plays well, and I really do. For the fantasy aspect, I have Jalen Waddle. Do I think it's going to happen? Not really, but would it surprise me? No, because Mike McDaniel is a great coach, a great offensive mind, and if you let him rip the douche flute, I think he's going to make some plays for his offense. Maybe cut that.
No, we'll come back to this when it's that's 41-10.
That's definitely staying in.
Douche flute?
For sure. Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure.
So I guess I'm going with the Dolphins, fellas. I watched Todd get CTE in real time last week. It was a shame. Obviously, that's shaking up the organization a little bit. Not to mention they're flying clear across the country to play in Seattle. So Dolphins wouldn't be my pick, but that's who I'm rolling with. You guys keep agreeing on everything, so I got to be the outlier.
Yeah, talking about that, I hope Tua comes back. I really do. I think Tua is good for an NFL. But at some point, you got to tell the guy, when you run the football, you got to slide. You can't be leading with your helmet. I mean,
what's he doing running the ball?
For him.
What's he doing running the ball? I
agree.
You got Tyreek Hill out there. Why are you running the ball, man? Why? It doesn't make sense. It's unnecessary.
Yeah, and no, I agree totally. And if you watch him, like, he had yards, like he would have got to, like, I think he was like at the 4-yard line. I don't know if it was the 4, but he was within the 20 yards, and he tries lowering his shoulder. Dude, slide. You already gained some yards. Get down. You have a bad history of concussions, and you know that. I mean, I kind of put that on him, but he's also a gamer, so how much can you take it out of his? You know what I mean? That's where I come from. I know how it is. You don't want to give up on something. So I get both ways, but as a franchise quarterback, you got to know. You got to know when to take hits.
Yeah, no matter how you feel about Tua, you got to feel for the kid and the organization. Definitely prayers up to Tua, for real. Let's go into the best game of the week here. Panthers at Raiders. This is going to be a barn burner. No, I'm just kidding. This is a turd bowl we got here. Could possibly be two of the bottom 4 teams in the NFL. I'll take the Raiders in this one just based off what Gardner Minshew and what their team showed me last week. I think a lot of people will be hammering the Raiders because they did just beat the Ravens. Let's not forget that. But it would not surprise me if Andy Dalton comes out and finds a way to win this game for the Panthers. It happens all the time. Teams that are coming off an absolute high, beating a team that they had no business beating, will play a team that's way lower than them in skill, and somehow, some way, the lower team will find a way to win. It's like they got a big game hangover. We've seen it a ton of times. And I think Andy Dalton will provide a spark for that offense, and he will get out there, throw the ball around, and maybe make some plays for the Panthers. I will lean Raiders, though, just based off what they showed me last week, and I have more trust in Gardner Minshew.
I can agree with the bottom four teams, but I don't think the Raiders are a bottom four team at all. I think the Raiders are actually a decent football team. I don't think they're going to win a ton of games this year, but I think they're going to be a lot better than people think. Antonio Pierce I think he brought that old school Raider football mentality back, which you didn't have with Josh McDaniels. I think you kind of had it with John Gruden when he was there, but looking at it now, I think you got some guys that buy in. I think Matt Crosby's a top 5 defensive end, and he could be one of the best. I'm not going to say he is, but he's definitely a top 5 defensive end. I think what the Raiders have on the outside, you have Devontae Adams. What else can you say? I mean, Devontae Adams, I would say, is probably one of the best wide receivers in the NFL right now. But it also relies on Gardner Minshew, and it kind of depends what Zamir White does in the backfield, because I think a lot of their game is trying to let Zamir White get yards first and then try taking some shots. Zamir White hasn't really shown what he was showing last year when they went in and beat KC, and he single-handedly pretty much won the game when he was running the ball. You haven't really seen that this year, but I'm going to have to side with you because I don't think the Panthers are going to be a very good football team at all. I still don't think the Andy Dalton coming in, I don't think he's going to do much for him. I don't think the Panthers are a good team at all. And I'm going to go with the Raiders.
Looks like I'm going with the team that Logan doesn't think is a good team at all, the Panthers.
Going into the Ravens-Cowboys game, both teams coming off big losses. I don't know really what to say about this game. The Cowboys in week 1, they beat Cleveland pretty handily, but we all kind of agree on Cleveland. They're not a very good football team. But then you go play the Saints, and the Saints just absolutely rout you. I mean, Cowboys can do anything right. But you are playing in Dallas, great atmosphere. But you also got the Ravens that, like Austin just said, should have not had any issues with the Raiders the week before, and they lost to them. Looking at the Ravens, though, I was really big on Derrick Henry coming into the Ravens this year, but I'm not sure he's the best fit like we always thought he would be, because I don't think Lamar Jackson likes playing under center, and that's usually how Derrick Henry gets his momentum going. You let him set up about 6-7 yards behind the ball, and he's coming full speed at you, which we don't really get to see that a whole lot because Lamar doesn't really like that. Hot take for me, I don't think Lamar Jackson's that great of a football player. And I don't think that the Ravens will win I think they'll win a lot of games in regular season, but he's not a playoff quarterback. And you've seen it year in, year out. He doesn't win many games in the playoffs. And I'm going to take the Cowboys in this just because I'm not a huge Lamar fan. And I don't think Lamar, if he comes down to it, passing the ball, I don't think he has a deep ball. He doesn't have the accuracy. I mean, the guy can throw the ball far, which a lot of guys in the NFL can do. I just don't think he has the accuracy, and I just don't think he's that well of a thrower because he's also running the ball a lot, and I don't know if he'll stay healthy because he's taking a lot of shots that he shouldn't be. And at some point, you got to say, hey, dude, that's enough. But I'm going to side with the Cowboys here, and I think Dak and CD figure it out, and I think you're going to let Zeke eat, and you're going to see some Cowboys with a big win.
I'm going to have to completely disagree with you, dude. I do think both these teams, like they're both good teams. But the way I'm looking at it is, I know you said you don't think Lamar is a good football player at all. I think Lamar is an absolute freaking gamer. He's going to come into this game absolutely pissed off. His team's 0-2. They were one of the favorites to win the Super Bowl. And I think he's going to come in to this game with a mindset of, I am not leaving this stadium without a win. And As much as you think that the Cowboys might say that too, that's just not the case. I mean, if you're telling me who's gonna go out there and want to win this game more, it's gonna be Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens. I'm taking Lamar Jackson with that mentality to go in there with Jim Harbaugh and be a Cowboys team that I really don't think knows what their identity is this year.
I didn't say that he's a horrible football player. I just said he's not going to win you a Super Bowl. I think he's a good player, but he's
you
not.
You said you didn't think he was that great of a football player. We can quote you on that.
Yeah, we could definitely quote you on that. Definitely.
Well,
It was a
I
hot
will
take.
back. I'll back it though. I don't think he's the guy, and I think there's a lot more better NFL quarterbacks than Lamar Jackson.
Some might agree, some might disagree. I'm gonna have to agree with you here on this one, Logan. I'm gonna go with the Cowboys for my boy J Rod.
Right, looking into Packers Titans. I don't really think that any of these teams right now are really all that special. I think the Packers can be special when they're healthy, but you're throwing Malik Willis out there, who I don't think is going to do anything crazy for you. But I just think the Titans are that much worse that they're also not going to do anything fantastic. I think Malik Willis can go out there and just not turn the ball over and not make any boneheaded moves. I think that the Packers will walk out of here with a very ugly win, kind of like how they did last week against the Colts. So go Pack, go here.
So going into this, I have to agree with Austin with the Packers. The Packers definitely are not the team they were week one with Jordan Love, but you also have a lot of stud receivers, Jordan Reed, Christian Watson. Them guys can make plays. You also have Josh Jacobs in the backfield. I think Malik Willis, as long as he's kind of a game manager and kind of can get you through this game, they got a good enough defense that I think he'll actually play better than what we think he will. He's not a Jordan Love. I'm not saying that, but I think he's going to make enough plays to get the Packers where they need to be. And I'm not really sure what Tennessee has going on. I mean, their coach is belittling Will Levis out on the field, which I love that he's holding them accountable, but at the same time, you need to pull that off to the side and then have your own talks. They do have some weapons, but I don't think Tennessee has anything for the Packers in this game. And I think it'll be a close game, but I'm definitely going to take the Packers in this.
All right, fellas. Sounds like I'm rolling with the Titans.
So now we're going into the Lions at the Cardinals. Looking at this game, Arizona just came off a huge win against the Rams. I don't know how much we take into this, though. The Rams are not a good football team right now. But Kyler Murray figured out how to throw the ball to Marvin Harrison, and it looked great. Looking around, James Conner's run the football well. Kyler Murray's making plays like he did when he was healthy years before. I think it's going to be a good game. But looking at the Lions have everything to be in power right now. They just lost a tough game at home, which Dan Campbell was probably chewing ass in that locker room, which he should be, because I think they should have won the game last week, at home especially. But I think you're going to have a pissed off Detroit Lions team come out, and I think you're going to see a heavy run dose. Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, I think they're going to get a lot of carries, but then when you get a lot of carries, you're going to see the play action come out, and Jameson Williams and Amon-Ra Brown. Hope gets him going on. He hasn't done anything the first 2 weeks, but looking at both teams, I think the Lions will take over this game, and I think the Lions will be a very tough team to beat this year just because of that fact of Jared Goff can throw the ball well, but when they need to, they have two stud running backs. You can bounce back and forth, and Ben Johnson at OC for the Lions, he does a phenomenal job at calling plays for him, and he knows every time when to start switching it up, and I'm going to take the Lions this week, and I think the Lions will be a very good football team to be playing every week.
Yeah, this one, the Cardinals looked great last week. It is scary. Their offense can be scary, especially when Kyler Murray's got it figured out and doing what he does well. So that is something scary. I will pick the Lions here. I just think that they are just the all-around better team. You can trust them better. I know they haven't looked great to start this season, but you know what you got. You got one of the best offensive lines in the league. You got a quarterback that's not going to make any boneheaded plays. You got a bunch of weapons in Gibbs, Montgomery, St. Brown, Williams. You got a tough group over there. I think they're going to rely on their offensive line, kind of wear out this Arizona Cardinals defense and get out of there with a win.
Yeah, I agree on that, Austin. You got a quarterback for Detroit that he doesn't make many mistakes, and he's kind of in a perfect offense because you don't really have to rely on him. But when you do, he usually comes up with big throws. We got to watch it when he was with the Rams. He will make big throws, but he also knows when to take his shots, and he's pretty smart on that. So I definitely agree Detroit will win this.
Well, I'm going to go with Kyler and the Arizona Cardinals, obviously. I think if he can play a game like he played last week, I think Detroit's in some big trouble coming up this week.
All right, heading into the big Sunday night game. We got a pretty good matchup here, Chiefs at Falcons. I believe this one will be super close, and I actually believe it will look a lot like the Chiefs-Bengals game last week. I think it'll be pretty ugly. You got two pretty complete teams here. You know what the Chiefs already have. You got Mahomes, you got that offense, you got Andy Reid. And then you got the Falcons, who just made a bunch of additions to their team. And the secondary on their defense and even on their offense, adding Kirk Cousins and then Bijan getting another year under his belt. But if there's one thing that I have learned and that everyone should have learned, and especially my bank account, is never bet against Patrick Mahomes. Bet against him a lot last year in the playoffs just because I don't like the Chiefs and it hurt me. I'll never bet against Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But don't be surprised if the Falcons do pull this out in a very ugly game, maybe like a 1 or 2 point game. I think the Falcons are a really good team. I just don't think they have it figured out. This could be the week that they put it together, but I'm still going to roll with the Chiefs here.
Yeah, I mean, looking at this game, I think it's going to be a really good game. You're quick to assume that, yeah, the Chiefs will win this football game. But after watching 2 weeks of the Falcons, first week was really rough watching them play Pittsburgh. But last week, they kind of played a little better, and you didn't really see it until late in the game, I think. That you got to see that fourth quarter, 2 minutes to go. You let Kirk Cousins throw the football, and for some reason it looked like Philly forgot how to cover. They were pretty much just letting them run all over them when they were running their routes. But the thing was, Kirk Cousins was making throws, and it looked like they were kind of clicking offensively. So I think if you can keep getting Drake London the ball, you got Bijan Robinson, absolute freak at running back, and Kyle Pitts. I mean, their offense is dangerous. I don't know how good it really will be, but I know it could be really good. Going to the Chiefs, though, I agree, Austin. How can you not go with the Chiefs? You just had an ugly win. Patrick Mahomes hasn't really looked like the guy that we always think he is, which I'm not saying he's not the guy. He's definitely the guy. He just had a couple rough weeks. But I think you're going to have to look at the Chiefs really starting to throw the football more. I think since you got Isaiah Pacheco's last year, you got to actually run the football more and kind of took a little pressure off Patrick Mahomes, having to run around, make his plays. But you don't have anymore. You have Samaje Perine, and I don't know. He's not a Isaiah Pacheco. We can just say that now. And you're definitely going to have to rely on throwing the football way more than what we have seen them do the last couple of years. I look at Travis Kelce coming back a little bit. First 2 weeks, you barely saw it. You barely heard his name. We haven't got to see Taylor Swift much on TV. It's kind of killing me. You know, we all want to watch her all the time. But that was a joke. I got to go with the Chiefs here. I mean, how can you bet against Patrick Mahomes? And I think you're going to see a Patrick Mahomes game this week. I see him throwing over 350 yards with 3 touchdowns this week, easily with no picks.
I completely disagree. 3 picks Mahomes is going to throw this week.
I see a very ugly game here. I see something very similar to the Bengals game, but the Chiefs will always figure out a way. That's what I see.
Well, the refs might figure it out for him. So I'm going to go with Atlanta. I don't have a choice. So
So now we're going to go into we have a doubleheader this week in Monday Night Football. The Jags at the Bills. And this game ain't going to be close if it goes how the first 2 weeks did. The Jags offense is miserable. Doug Peterson, you got to figure it out. You just paid Trevor Lawrence all this money, and he doesn't look good. You got Gabe Davis. The one bright spot is you have Brian Thomas Jr., rookie wide receiver from LSU. He looks good, but nothing else is working for you. Travis Etienne, he's doing okay, but your offense isn't scoring points, and your defense isn't doing nothing to help you either. You look at the flip side, the Bills. We talked about this earlier. This was Austin's pick for the team to beat going into week 3, and I couldn't agree more. I don't think this offense has really even clicked completely yet because you haven't really saw Dalton Kincaid get the ball. You haven't really seen Keon Coleman get the ball. But the one thing they have figured out to do is give the ball to James Cook, and you're letting James literally cook. He's playing great football. But you also have Josh Allen. And I think with any team with Josh Allen is a better team. And without Josh Allen, the Bills team would not be anything close to what they've had in years past. And this whole team rides on Josh Allen. If he's playing good, you're going to have a great Bills football team. And as long as he stays healthy, I see the Bills win a lot of football games this year. And that is my pick for this week.
Yeah, I think this game will be actually pretty close. I think the Jags are a little bit better than what they've appeared in the first 2 weeks. And kind of like you said, I think the Bills really haven't even clicked yet. I mean, their offense doesn't really look all in sync, but I don't think it matters. I think Josh Allen is just that dude, and he's literally going to put on a Superman cape and just make play after play after play, figure out a way, and the Bills are going to win again somehow.
Yeah, and the Bills defense plays really well. And it definitely, like we just talked about, I think when Josh Allen plays better, the entire team plays better. Like your defense clicks better. So, I mean, this team literally rides, this team and the fan base literally rides with Josh Allen. And that's pretty awesome to see because I love when they play Kansas City because I'm like, just please beat Kansas City.
Well, I guess I'm going with the Jags, fellas. You guys just keep agreeing on everything. I guess it makes sense. That's why you guys are here.
That's right.
All right. Let's get into the last Monday Night Football game. Commanders at Bengals. This one I do think could be close. I think Jaden Daniels will make plays. I think he's a very explosive player, but I don't think he's quite there yet. I think he will make some mistakes. You kind of take the good with the bad with him. I do think the Bengals will figure it out a little bit here. They'll get a win. Fun fact, I don't know if any of you guys know this, but under Zach Taylor, in the 6 years with Zach Taylor, they've started 0-2 in 5 of the last 6 years. And they're 0-2 again. Like they just start slow. They always kind of seem to figure it out. I think the Jamar Chase offseason issues has to play in that slow start. I think they'll start to figure it out. They'll start to click a little bit better, but give me the Bengals here to beat the Commanders.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think with a couple plays back last week, I think the Bengals coming into this game 1-1. And they should have beat Kansas City and KC. You have Joe Burrow fumble the football, which you don't see him do much. You don't really see him turn the ball over a whole lot. Fumbles the ball, and they score a touchdown off of it, a fumble 6. You don't see that much, but once that happened, KC takes the lead and just takes all the wind out of the Bengals' sails. Looking at this game, though, I have to agree. The Bengals are a better football team, and they're not an 0-2 football team. They're a really good football team, and something we haven't seen yet this year is the Joe Burrow to Jamar Chase connection. And it was kind of impressive that they were even in the game with Casey last week because him and Jamar Chase did nothing together. So I definitely will take the Bengals in this game just for that aspect of I think the Bengals will turn it on and going to your point. They do not play good early season, and they're always a later season team. And if you look at the Commanders, Jaden Daniels is doing a lot with his legs, and he's playing pretty good football. He really is. but he's got to throw the football more, and he's got to make more plays with his arm, because if you want to last in the NFL, you got to be able to throw the football if you want to win a lot of games. They have some guys. They have Brian Thomas Jr. They have Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels. You have to throw the football, and I think this could be a close game. Their defense is all right, but I don't think it will be. I think the Bengals will take this game, and I think it might be a blowout if the Bengals start to click, because if T. Higgins actually comes back, you're going to see the Bengals really start clicking, and I can't wait to see it.
Well, I guess that settles it, fellas. I'm taking the Commanders, and that's going to round out week 3 of football. I got to tell you guys, wealth of knowledge. You guys knocked that out of the park. And that's what we like to see here at Deep Threat Sports Network. You guys really knocked it out of the park. And there's a lot of hot takes in there. We're going to hold you to them. Remember that. We're taking notes. There's receipts. We're going to hold you guys accountable for some of these things next week when we get back to talking about this. Well, we got one more thing to kind of go over. I want you guys to pick one team you're going to guarantee me is going to win this weekend. And I think after that, we'll wrap it up and call it a night, fellas. So, Logan, what do you got? Who you guaranteeing me a win this weekend?
If I had to put money on a team this week to win, I'm going to take the Monday Night Football game, Bills against the Jags, no doubt. Josh Allen will win the football game, and he will show you why. I think he might be one. I ain't saying he's better than Patrick Mahomes. He's definitely number 2 if you had to pick one of them, and I will take the Bills.
Gotcha. I like it. Josh Allen is my MVP pick. Love Josh Allen. So don't hate that pick. I'm going to go with the Jets on tomorrow night's Thursday night football game against the Patriots. All you got to know for this one is you got Aaron Rodgers in prime time going up against Jacoby Brissett. So I'm going the Jets to win easily over the Patriots.
All right. Well, you boys got them locked in. You guys got anything else for me?
I don't think so. It was a great show, Joshy.
Hey, happy to have you fellas here. You guys you killed it. Really impressed. It's a lot of fun. I'm really looking forward to coming back next week and holding you guys accountable for some of those hot takes and keeping these conversations going.
I didn't remember the Lamar one because I don't think the guy's that guy.
He's going to go in there with such a dog mentality you don't even know.
I hope he doesn't, really, but
right.
I don't like
All right. Well, we'll see you next week when we get together and we discuss this some more. Meanwhile, everybody, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to the videos on YouTube. You know where to find us. We got other content coming your way. We got more college football coming at you. We got another NASCAR podcast coming at you later this week. In the meantime, give it up for Logan and Austin. They did a hell of a job tonight, and we will see you guys next week.